2, 2, 2. Right up in here. Got you. I got you.
There you go.
What up, Patreon? Yeah. Right. What up?
Okay. I'm going to slate this in, and then I'll give you a go as soon as you say it.
Got it.
Great.
Gotcha.
Okay, we're all set. Anytime you'd like to start.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Take it away.
Hello, everybody. It's time for another in a series of interviews with guest artists appearing at the Hill House on Devil's Backbone, private open-air music venue on Kenwood Hill in the south end of Louisville, Kentucky. I'm Scott Furkin, and this time I'll be speaking with Amanda Lucas and Audrey Cecil. Individually, they've been part of the Louisville music scene for more than almost 20 years and performed for more than a decade together as Bridge 19. But in recent years, they've charted a new course and are now the dynamic duo behind RELAAY, an indie pop band with a debut album, a brand new music video, and an upcoming tour of the Western U.S. So welcome, Amanda and Audrey.
Hey.
Hey, thank you so much for having us. Thank you all for being here.
Well, of course, we want to talk about your musical evolution, but first a little bit information about you two. Both Louisville natives?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I grew up in Valley Station.
Okay.
Station in the house. I grew up in Mount Washington. Anybody?
Yeah,
Okay.
Bullitt County, yeah.
There we go.
Well, the Louisville question that everybody asks is, where'd you go to high school?
I went to Holy Cross High School.
Okay.
I went to
Cougars.
Bullitt East.
Bullitt East.
Bullitt East High School, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I understand you've been friends since childhood. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. Amanda and I were both athletes growing up, and were invited at 8, 9-ish,
Yeah.
9-ish, 10-ish years old to join this traveling competitive softball team, which we did, and spent that from like 10 years old until we graduated high school playing for that team all summer long. It was like our life, you know. For a lot of athletes growing up, that's
Sure.
the cornerstone of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so then we went to college separately and played at different places, so we would see each other a couple times a year, again, when we would play against each other and say hey and what's up and whatever, and then we reconnected in the music scene totally randomly much later, like after graduating college, and the rest is history.
Okay.
Yeah.
What were some of your early musical influences, either one of you?
Oh man, you start.
I think you should start.
I mean, I can talk about this for a very long time, so I'll try and keep it brief, but like Fleetwood Mac is sort of my North Star. Like, I remember discovering The Dance, which is like their live album, live video, something, and just being completely like gobsmacked. But like, when we were growing up, it was like Fiona Apple, No Doubt was like one of my very first albums, Sheryl Crow, Patty Griffin. I can go on, so
Sure.
I won't bore all of you with a long list, but for me, it's like Fiona Apple, I would say, and like Fleetwood Mac are like right in there for me.
Okay. How about you, Amanda?
Yeah, so I let her start because I grew up in a very conservative family that believed anything other than country music was devil-worshipping music. And so I didn't know who Fiona Apple was or Fleetwood Mac was until I met Audrey. So for me, my list is rather short, but I will say that the country artists that kind of inspired me to want to playing guitar was Dina Carter. I went to a concert at Louisville Motor Speedway, which is no longer here, but I watched her perform barefoot, playing an acoustic guitar and just singing to the crowd, and it was then that I decided I was going to save my money and buy a guitar and do the same thing. I do wear tennis shoes. I don't wear, I'm not barefoot, but that was kind of what kind of inspired me to want to play music.
Okay, so how did you learn to play guitar? Are you self-taught, or?
So before the internet, when I was a kid, since we've been playing together for 20 years, it feels like that was before the internet. You would go to the music store, which I went to Willis Music, and I would buy tablature books that had the chords, and I would just teach myself how to play.
Okay, how about you, Audrey?
I bought my first guitar in between my freshman and sophomore years of college. God bless my college roommate. I was working at Kroger, and I saved up enough money to buy like $100 guitar at the music store down the street from my parents' house. And I played it enough to teach myself what I know. Kim Gossett, I'm sorry for all of that I put you through in those 4 years. But yeah, we're both completely self-taught, and my parents were so mad that I spent my money on that guitar. They were like, I can't believe you would waste your money on that. I think it paid off.
I would say so. Yeah, I would say so. A good return on investment.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, so you're both singers, but also songwriters. So when did you start writing songs, and how did that happen?
Oh man. I feel like I've done it forever, but I know I haven't. Like, it wasn't until after I taught myself to play guitar that I started writing, which would have been like, 20-ish years old.
Okay.
Yeah, I was the same. So I had this major crush on someone, and that inspired me to write the first song I ever wrote. That was in college. And it ended up going on a record that got us eventually to play Lilith Fair, so that paid off. But
cool.
That was the first song that I ever wrote, and then, like Audrey, music was always just kind of something that was really inspirational to me, and it felt like when I couldn't convey how I was feeling, I could find a song that did that for me. And so I kind of wanted to be able to do that for other people, and that's why I wanted to continue writing.
Well, tell us a little bit about your songwriting process. I mean, do you write the music first, or the lyrics, or how does that come together?
Yes. That's how it is. I mean, like, how do you can go ahead.
Individually, we have, in almost every aspect of our personality and lives, we are very, very different, including our songwriting process. And for me, music almost always comes first, and then I go back and I'm like, well, what does this song sound like? And, of course, I log ideas of, like, songs I want to write and what I want them to be about. Mm-hmm. So I have, like, that log in my mind of, like, I need, with totally random words and phrases. Most of the time it happens when I'm running. I'm a runner, and so, like, that's when my brain can be in so much distress that it shuts out everything else, and like actual ideas come. So most of the time I'll just like put them in my phone. And so when I have a musical thing that I like, I'll then go back and start to pull ideas about, like, okay, well, which one of these ideas does this sound like?
I see.
And go from there.
Okay.
And then I'll usually bring that to Amanda, and then we'll approach it and finish it in some way.
Okay.
For me, it's completely different. As she said, we're very different people. I'm very much like type A personality. So I have folders in my iPhone for, like, whether it's like a lyric idea or just a song idea. For me, a lot of times the lyrics come first, and then I'll take the lyrics to Audrey. So, like, for example, one of the songs, Never Gonna Know, had some of the lyrics, took them to Audrey. She offered a couple of paths that we could have gone down from a sonic perspective, and we kind of decided on one, and I'm happy with the way it turned out. So a lot of my ideas, she mentioned that hers comes from running, mine comes in the shower. And so I feel like it's probably because you're doing something that you don't have to think about, and you're not distracted. Because as a society, we're all very distracted. And so for me, it's like if I have an idea in the shower, I have to sing it and sing it and sing it until I get out. When we used to write in the old days, we would actually go on writing retreats, and we would stay in a cabin for like 3 days And I mentioned I'm very type A, so I'm very like, okay, we need to write a song right now. And so we would probably write, 6 songs in 2 or 3 days. And since those days, it's definitely changed. We use voice notes a lot and like notes on our phone and things like that. So we've adapted and kind of changed throughout time.
Yeah, the pandemic changed that a lot because we used to like just force ourselves to like be in a room together and then like bring either ideas to each other or like halfway done songs to each other and then finish them together. But then the pandemic happened and we were forced to be separate.
Yeah.
And so then it became like voice memos and almost complete songs. Like, what do you think about this?
I see.
And I hate this. I like this. And so it's evolved.
Well, let's talk a little bit about how you came together as musical collaborators and what's happened in the last few years to bring you to the point you are now.
Yeah, so as Audrey said, we knew each other growing up, and then we reconnected over the internet on social media when we were in our 20s. And at the time, she was in a duo, and they had just put out a record, and I was playing solo. And so she started kind of playing on my songs, and I started playing on their songs, just kind of joining together. And then it was at some point along the way, we played a show together, like just as a duo, and there was a lot of feedback from people, like, we really like this, you all should continue to do that. And so that's just kind of how it all happened, just kind of organically. Okay.
And you formed Bridge 19. I saw you years ago at the Mayor's Art and Music Series.
Yeah.
So what's the significance of the name Bridge 19?
So Amanda mentioned the Lilith Fair thing, and so we were lucky enough to be able to do be on part of the Lilith Fair tour. And at the time, we were just playing songs together, and we were just going by our names, like Amanda, Lucas, and Audrey. That was our name. And we felt compelled, for whatever reason, to have a name by the time that we did that. And the very first show that we ever played together was at Bear Nose by the Bridge.
Okay.
And the date adds up to 19, but it was very rushed. And it was like, we just, overnight, we're like, okay, we're just going to call ourselves this. And then we went and did it and whatever. So it was very kind of spur of the moment.
Okay.
It's hard to find a band name that isn't already taken, because as soon as you start to research any band, and you look at the websites, they're all gone. So that was another factor. It's like, okay, what exists?
So something happened in 2020 that kind of, you've already alluded to it, that sort of changed everybody's landscape. How did it impact the music that you make and how you evolved musically?
Oh my God. So for me personally, a thing that sort of coincided with that is my family, we had our first baby that year. In 2019, 3 months before the pandemic started. And so I was forced into shuffling my priorities around quite a bit. And so that is kind of when, music, when the pandemic happened, music stopped. And what Bridge 19 did was we played shows constantly.
Yeah.
And so when that stopped, it was like this void, which was honestly kind of a good thing, because we were sort of running ourselves ragged a little bit. And it did afford us this moment to be like, okay, should we, do we like what we're doing? Should we continue what we're doing? Is this the path? And I think we had both been, and we talked about it some. We were like, all right, we sort of had an identity crisis and felt, for whatever reason, a need for a change. And so we just dove in, and here we are. This is us now.
Okay. Well, I've heard it said that you guys have said you're striving to make the kind of music you would have loved to have listened to as teenagers.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, it's not country, and so I would have really enjoyed listening to music that sounds like what we play, and also seeing someone that looks like we look. As I said, I grew up in a very conservative family, and so there were norms that I have been taught since I was a kid, and I don't fit those now. And, like this ear piercing, my mom didn't speak to me for 6 months because of it. So that's like an example. I'm really rebellious right here. And so to see somebody when I was younger that looked like this, I think that would have been really helpful in my development. And also, that's kind of the goal, is just letting other people see what they may need now, same things that we needed back then. Yeah. But I don't know if you feel differently, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, I'd say as different as we are as humans, that's kind of a gift. But one of the things that we do have in common is that we grew up in extremely conservative homes where, I saw zero queer representation when I was a kid. And if it did happen to find itself in my path, it was shut down very quickly by my parents. And so I needed that, and I never had it, and I want to be it. So here we are, trying to be that now. And
you're doing music full time now. That's your thing.
No. We both have other streams of revenue to feed families, and I wish if anyone's listening can make us full-time musicians.
There you go.
Call us.
Right. Well, let's talk about your new record, Mid-Tempo Magic, released last fall, I believe.
Yes.
Can you describe how that came about and how the recording process was for you?
So when we were Bridge 19, a lot of times, just because of the way that we had to do it, we would record our records pretty much live. And so from the process of recording to mixing, it was about 8 to 9 days. And with this process, it was actually almost 2 full years of taking the songs that we had written, breaking them down, building them back up. So it was a lot different this time. It was very intentional. We worked with our producer, Mark Charles, and we had never worked with a producer before, and that was very helpful for us. Just to have somebody else's perspective. Musically, he's a genius, and also very much similar to our style. And as Audrey has said before, he did a really good job of challenging us in certain ways. And so I think that was something that we needed with this. But I think the main word I would use to describe the process was really intentional.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that fact in and of itself is probably the biggest reason why we just made this leap of a change in the first place, is because when we would have those conversations of, are we happy doing what we're doing? Do we want to continue what we're doing? What we wanted to do was to record an album over a longer period of time with much more production value and much more I heard things in my head. I knew what I wanted this record to sound like.
Gotcha.
And the Bridge 19 way was not the way to make a record sound the way that I heard it in my mind. And then I met Mark, of course, through the Louisville music scene, and we pitched him a couple of songs, and he was like, bring it. And so he and I are very similar humans, very like-minded, and so we were really able to I could verbalize sort of to him what I was hearing. He was like, oh yeah, that's this. And then he would go on and he would find an organ that sounded just like what I was explaining or whatever. And so having his vast knowledge of how to make sounds was amazing.
Well, other than the merch table here tonight, where is the record available?
It's in my garage. So if anyone wants any copies, they can come there.
Does anyone have the internet here?
Well, I was getting ready to say, because we're also going to be playing some Bridge 19 songs tonight.
Okay.
And those really are only in my garage.
Okay.
Yeah.
However, if you would like...
They're online.
They're not. They're not.
You can stream them.
You can stream them, but if you want the vinyl, let us know. We'll talk to you about that. But yes, you can get them on our website, the Mid-Tempo Magic record, which is relaytheband.com.
Okay.
2 A's. Relay with 2 A's.
Yep, for the 2 A's.
Yes.
But yeah, you can get those there. Okay.
Well, let's talk about a little bit. I know you've been performing the new record. Like last month, you were at the Big Stomp Festival. I think you did the Pride Festival this summer. You're going to be doing the Old Louisville Brew Fest coming up soon. And then after that, you head out west. Kansas, Colorado, New Mexico. How exciting is that?
Extremely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we had this totally amazing opportunity, and we were very honored to be asked to join a festival out there called the Ghost Ranch Music Festival.
Yeah.
And we'll be playing that with some people that I listen to in my truck all the time, and people who I like totally look up to. Ani DeFranco and Lucy Dacus, and who else?
Shovels and
Rope. Amazing artists.
For anybody who might not know, tell us, what is Ghost Ranch and why does it mean so much to you?
Ghost Ranch, the Ghost Ranch, is Georgia O'Keeffe's Ghost Ranch, that is still there and operated by, I think her family today. And so they host this this music festival once a year. They're in the high desert. I've never been there. I can't wait to see it. I think it's going to be incredible.
One thing I'm curious about, how will you travel?
in a van.
Okay.
Yeah, so if anyone has a van, that's the other thing. So we're actually we have spent so much time researching. So the thing about independent artists is that all those gigs that were booked, we did that.
Okay.
Anything that happens, when you're an independent artist, you have to do it yourself, including renting a van. And so trying to figure out how to safely send 4 people across all of these states while packing all of our things is what we have been talking about probably nonstop for like a month. We've gone through every scenario possible. And so, yeah. We've even filled out a grant for Subaru. So we'll find out in the next 3 weeks if Subaru is going to send us. We're trying pretty much everything at this point.
So 2 calls to action. We need a record contract and a van.
The first, but in the order of things, because a lot of times people can only do 1 call to action at a time. First, we need a van.
Okay.
We can rent a van. We can't rent a record contract.
We'll see.
Well, I wanted to ask you one thing
We'll end up in an SUV probably.
We'll see.
Somebody's SUV.
It'll be a true road trip.
It will be.
It will.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's going to be an adventure.
So the new music video called The Fallout, I've seen it, and I think it's genius, and I love it. So tell us a little bit about the making of that.
So the other revenue stream that I mentioned before for myself is I work in video production.
Okay.
We have needed a music video. Amanda's so patient with me since we put our record out, and we haven't had one. And I've been making them for other people because other people are like, we'll pay you this much money to make a music video for us. And I'm like, yes, I'll do that.
Well, I didn't know that's what I needed to do. You should have told me.
Sorry. Anyway, again, I was out for a run one day, and one thing that I've always known about Amanda, even since we were little, was that she is an avid weather follower. And so I literally just out of the blue, I'm just like running, and this idea, I'm like, what if we did the Fallout as like news anchors, and Amanda can do the weather, and I'll be like a news anchor.
Yeah.
And something that we're really trying to lean into in this music is kind of how we are in real life, which is to be light and sort of fun, even when we're talking about really heavy topics. And The Fallout is a song that is about a pretty heavy topic, and we were like, how do we make this sort of mesh with something that is, you can smile at it.
Yeah.
And so that's the route we went. And so I made that video for us, and I don't know, I kind of like it.
It's
If
cool.
you make another one, I'll pay you to do that.
Okay, great.
It's cool. It's clever. I recommend you go to YouTube and
Thank you.
look for The
Yes.
Fallout.
Thank you.
Well, I've enjoyed talking with you. I'm going to look
me
forward
too.
to hearing what you have for us musically tonight, and I thank you for sitting down with us for this little chat.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to Pam and Patrick for having us. We
Yes.
appreciate it.
Yes.
you.
Oh, thanks. Oh, thank you. Thanks for having us. Of course.